So let's start talking about meta tags and how they can help improve your site's SEO. Now, what meta tags do is help describe the content on the page. So we return to that theme of trying to help search engine bots understand our site's content. Now, meta tags aren't displayed on the page, they are added to the HTML code and specifically the head area of each one of your pages. To illustrate this, let's preview our site in Safari. I'm going to right click and inspect an element, or you can go to the view menu and view the source for this page. Then we need to go into the head area, and here you can see that RapidWeaver adds a bunch of default meta tags for us. Specifically, we're going to focus on the Twitter and Open Graph tags here. But we're also going to talk about some of the default meta tags that we'll want to add to each one of our pages. But before we do that, let's talk about the keywords meta tag. Now, the keywords meta tag used to be relevant. However, after the abuse that it received with people spamming it and filling it with irrelevant keywords for their site or their page, Google and other search engines have come out publicly and said that they essentially ignore the keywords meta tag. So we're not going to add it to any of our pages on our site, simply because there's no SEO gain by doing so. However, the description meta tag, which you've likely heard of, is one that we'll want to add to our page. Now, the description meta tag isn't automatically added to your page by RapidWeaver. We need to go and add that ourselves. So to do that, let's hop back over to RapidWeaver, and if you go to the page inspector and the meta tags tab, you'll see a description box here. So all you need to do is add a description for this page and ideally keep it under 155 characters. You won't be penalized if you go over 155. However, I'll explain why this is important in just a second. Let's add a test description meta tag for now. And if we go back to Safari and refresh our page, there we can see that RapidWeaver will add the code for us and insert the content that we add inside of the page inspector. Now, why is the description meta tag important? Well, you may have read or you may have heard that the description meta tag doesn't really have any importance with regards to SEO. But I'm still inclined to think that it's a rather important meta tag. Perhaps not because you're going to gain a lot of SEO points, but one important thing that it is used for is when your page is displayed in search engine results. If I go to my other Safari tab here, you'll see I've searched in Google for RapidWeaver add-ons. Now, the description meta tag is used below each one of the titles here. So as I say, search engines aren't going to place too much weight onto the description meta tag, but it is going to make your site look more professional, and it's going to help users quickly establish whether this page is one that they might want to visit. And obviously, the more times your page is clicked on inside of Google, the better. You get more visits, and Google starts to understand that your site is becoming more popular. So as you can see here for the RapidWeaver community site, I've tried to describe the content on the page in a meaningful way in as few words as possible. So you can see here, you can quickly understand what you're going to find. You can browse for RapidWeaver add-ons, and it's the only place to find every major add-on, both free and paid for. I think that works pretty well. People are going to understand what the content is on the page. So what I'm going to do is just copy this description text, hop back over to RapidWeaver, and paste that in the description meta tag here. Then if we go back to Safari, we can inspect an element again, go to the head section, and we can ensure that the meta description has been updated here. One thing to note with the description meta tag before we move on is ideally the content inside of here, so the text that we pasted in, should also be in the page content. Some research suggests that there's some small SEO gains if the description meta tag content is displayed inside of the page's content, so it's visible to the user. So with that in mind, I'm going to go back to RapidWeaver, go to edit mode. I'm going to add a paragraph into my header area here, and I'm going to paste in my description meta tag content, like so. And I'll just center align that and make it a lead paragraph. Let's go back to Safari and refresh our preview. And now we can see that I have the description meta tag content inside of the page content. And as I say, some research suggests that you're going to get some small SEO gains. And my theory behind that is because the metadata that you're providing to search engine bots is being matched up to the page's content. So essentially we're matching keywords inside of the metadata to the page's content. Okay, next up, let's talk about the social media meta tags. Now this is a new feature inside of RapidWeaver 8. So if you're upgrading a project from RapidWeaver 7, you'll want to go to the RapidWeaver General Settings area and ensure that Generate Social Tags is enabled. You'll also want to fill in your Twitter account handle here. Once you've done that, RapidWeaver will automatically add the Twitter and Open Graph meta tags for you. Before we look at how we customize these meta tags, I want to explain why they're important and show you how they're used. So these social media tags are important because they help describe the page's content to social media sites. Now you might not think that gives you any SEO gains directly. However, when one of your pages is shared on Twitter or Facebook, more detailed information or more keyword rich information is going to be displayed on that platform. Now Google and other search engines attempt to index as much of the web as possible. So if they can get more rich information about your site when it's shared, that will only help build up a picture of what your page is or what your site content is all about. So the more keywords and the more keyword phrases that we can include inside of the meta information about our site, the better. If we can then match those up to the page's content, so again, trying to describe the page's content with these meta tags is going to help our overall SEO score. It also makes your site look more professional. And let me show you that. If we go to the Twitter developers area, you can see here, this is the Twitter cards meta tags. So all the Twitter card meta tags that are available are here. RapidWeaver adds all of the important ones, but there are additional ones if you're sharing videos or things like that. But we will just focus on the most important ones that are added by RapidWeaver, and that is for a Twitter card with an image. So if we go to the summary with large image, you'll see an example tweet is displayed here, and you'll likely have seen this when you've been browsing Twitter. You'll see a nice rich card with an image at the top, then the title, description and URL. All of this is controlled with these social media meta tags. This works in the same way on Facebook when you're using the Open Graph tags. You'll get the image, title, description and URL for your page displayed in a card like this. If your page didn't have these meta tags, you would simply see a tweet like this. So you'd have the text and then you'd have a link to your site. There wouldn't be this rich card below. But as soon as Twitter or Facebook pick up that these meta tags have been added, they will include this rich card below, and this really helps make your site look more professional. So if we want to look at how we can customize these tags, if we go back to our site here, you'll see we get these ones by default. So for Twitter and Open Graph, and that is because we had the Generate Social Tags option enabled. But if we go to one of our pages and the meta tags area, you'll see that there is a social tags area here. So we can customize the title, description and image. Now if you customized your browser title correctly, as we talked about in the previous video, you likely won't need to customize the social media title here. I think one of the only examples of when you might want to customize this is if you want to make the headline of a blog post, for example, a little bit more catchy and less wordy when it's shared on Twitter and Facebook. So we'll just put an example in here so I can demonstrate this. So something more catchy. And then we'll add a description. Now again, I would suggest you probably just use the meta description content inside of here as well. So we'll do that and paste it in. And now an image. I would suggest that you try and include an image for all of your pages, because it does seem that when an image is included in a tweet, for example, the click rates are higher. So let's go to the resources browser. I'll go to my screenshots folder and just drag in one of these here. Okay, so let's preview our site in Safari again. We'll inspect an element and we'll go to the head area. And now we can see that the Twitter title has been updated, the description has been updated, and the image tag has also been added. And this has also been done for the open graph tags. So the title, description, and image. Now RapidWeaver will automatically update the URL and the site name whenever those are changed inside of RapidWeaver. So we don't need to do anything for those. We'll get a unique URL and we'll use the site title whenever we need to. Finally, unique to Twitter, we obviously entered our Twitter handle inside of the general settings. And those will be used to tell Twitter that the creator and the site owner is linked to the RapidWeaver Twitter account. Okay, finally, before we wrap this lesson up, there is one more feature in RapidWeaver that I want to touch on, and that is inside of the Metatags tab here. If you have any other meta tags that you need to add to your pages, you can do so here. So you can just click the plus button. You can set the name. So let's just put keywords as an example. And then you would put a list of keywords here. Now this is a silly example because, as I mentioned, we wouldn't add the keywords, but I just want to show you that it is possible inside of RapidWeaver to add any type of meta tag to your page. So if we go back to Safari and refresh, you'll see that we now get the keywords meta tag added there. So if you wanted to or you needed to add any other type of keyword, you can do so like this. You can also add custom meta tags like the open graph meta tags here. So you can see all of the other meta tags that are added follow the convention of meta and then a name and then a content for that meta tag. However, the open graph meta tags follow a meta, property, and then content template. So if you wanted to do something like this, or if there was a open graph meta tag that you wanted to add to your page, for example, let's say we had a video on this page and we wanted to add the open graph video tag, we could do so by coming in here and updating the template. So we would say meta property equals the name and the content is the content. So RapidWeaver is using a templating system here. Obviously the name comes from here and the content comes from here. So again, if we had a video, we would set the name to video and then a URL for the video. Like so. Then when we go back and refresh our preview, you can see that the custom meta tag has been added here. Now I've forgotten to add the OG colon before the video, but you get the idea. That's how you add custom meta tags inside of RapidWeaver. Okay, that will do it for this video. We've now covered URLs, browser titles, and meta tags. In the next video, we're going to start talking about SEO friendly content and how we can match up the keywords in the URLs, browser titles, and meta tags to the content on our page.